I saw the nappy manager about the oatmeal today, and it's due in tomorrow. Any other points? Very well. Item number 3, next week's bill of fare. Just read it over and tell me if you've got any suggestions.
I've got a suggestion, sir.
Splendid. What is it?
Seeing as how we got a new butcher and a new mincing machine, how about some sausages now and again, sir?
Yes, I think that might be managed. I'll put them down for next week. Any other suggestions? Headquarter company?
No, sir.
A company?
No, sir.
B company?
No, sir. Except that I'm a bit partial to pig strutters myself.
Well, I doubt if there'd be enough of those to go round, Ramsbottom. Any more suggestions from C company?
No, sir.
D company?
There's only one thing I've got to say about D Company, sir.
What's that, Baines?
Only last week or so, the sugar seemed to be a bit short.
Sugar?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'll look into that, Baines.
Thank you, sir.
Any other business? Very well, we meet next week at the same time.
Ah, meeting nearly over, eh, Martin?
Yes, sir.
One moment, everybody. Mr. Martin has explained to you the functions of this committee.
Yes, sir.
I want to add this. I consider the work of this committee to be extremely important. I want you all to be just as enthusiastic about it as I am. Don't be afraid to speak out. Don't hesitate to pass on any ideas or suggestions you have. You get any today?
Yes, sir. Private Peach suggested we might have sausages now that we've got the new mincing machine. And I've put them down for next week.
Very good idea, Peach. Well, I hope you all enjoy them. Right. How did the meeting go today, Martin?
Oh, very much better, sir. They were quite enthusiastic once they got the hang of it.
You got your minutes there?
Yes, sir.
Good. If there's anything I can do to help you, you let me know.
Thank you, sir. Oh, there was just one point that cropped up, sir.
Huh?
D Company don't seem to be getting their full whack of sugar.
How about the issue?
Well, the ration hasn't been ordered, sir.
I suppose you can pop down to the store and have a look. Yes.
How often do you visit the store?
Regularly at 10 o'clock every morning, sir.
Well, try making a second call occasionally. Not too regularly, or the men will get to know you're coming and act accordingly. Don't be about all day. Don't always go at the same time. Surprise visits are always the best.
Like this one, eh, sir?
Well, we'll see.
All right, carry on. These today's rations?
Yes, sir.
You got the indent? Seems about right. You get a signature for everything that goes out.
Yes, sir.
Nice cake, this. Everything properly counted and weighed. Eh?
Yes, sir.
Ah.
Most of the world's best cooks are men. And there is no reason why the soldier's food shouldn't be wholesome, properly cooked and varied, whether his battalion happens to be on active service or in barracks where there's a modern cookhouse. Whatever the conditions, the soldier still likes his food. He still likes it well cooked, and he still likes it hot.
Well, A6-4, it's cold again.
That's gambling.
Good gracious me, man, what's the matter with you?
Oh, God, blimey, I'm burnt my ruddy tongue. You wait till I get hold of that perishing cook.
Oh, yes, the ones that fell near us were all that shape. Come in. Ah, Martin, you know Major Watkins, our area catering advisor?
How do you do, sir?
This is Martin, our messing officer. He's leaving shortly on a special course.
I was just bringing next week's bill of fare for you to sign, sir.
Ah, have you got last week's, though?
Yes, sir, that's last week's.
What's the idea of leaving the tinned salmon off the suppers?
Well, sir, there was a lot of cabbage and potato left over, and rather than waste them, I
Quite
thought...
right, quite right. Glad to see you're giving them plenty of green vegetable. I see D Company's got a choice of food. Roast beef or stew.
Yes, sir, with their cooking apparatus, they can't really handle enough roast meat for the whole company. If they do, it means cooking some of it so far ahead that it really isn't edible.
So you give them a split diet? Stew for one half and roast meat the other?
Yes, sir.
Can't we do anything to improve their apparatus?
Well, sir, I was wondering about that. It's a pretty mixed bag at the moment.
With a battalion deployed as we are, you can't expect anything much else. You'll have an opportunity of seeing what we've got. Martin will show you around. He knows the ground very well.
Of course.
I'll see you at lunch, then.
Shall we go over to my office, sir?
That's a good idea.
Come in, sir. Thank you. Perhaps it would help if I showed you roughly what the position is.
Yes, it would be as well.
Here's the layout. Headquarter company is here. They've got a first-class modern cookhouse. They're in Clover.
This is a modern cookhouse. It's as well equipped and up to date as anyone could wish for. Modern kitchen ranges, boiling pans, steamers, hot plates, even a fish fryer. This central apparatus is for roasting and braising. As gas costs more than 6 a therm in this district, it's coal-fired. Properly used, it produces first-class results. The attachment at the end is called a bain-marie. It's really a glorified double saucepan, and when it's filled with hot water, it maintains its contents, milk puddings and so on, at an even heat. A wet steaming oven is ideal for cooking potatoes, other root vegetables, and puddings. The potatoes, ready scraped, are simply placed inside the oven where they're cooked by the steam. Potatoes should never be allowed to soak in the damp when the steam is turned off, though. If they are, they become soggy and tasteless. Another type of steamer, used mainly for fresh vegetables such as cabbages and Brussels sprouts, is this one. It consists of a galvanized iron tank, which is first filled with water. Then steam is forced into the water from below. This is how it works. The steam quickly brings the water to the boil and keeps it boiling for the required period. Directly the water is boiling, the vegetables to be cooked are tipped in and can then be left to cook without needing further attention. Never cook green vegetables with a lid on them. If you do, they'll go brown. The fish fryer is a very valuable piece of apparatus because it enables the bill of fare to be varied considerably. Here it's being used for frying chipped potatoes, which are put in wire baskets and plunged into the boiling fat. Steam-jacketed tilting pans of this pattern are used for making all varieties of soup and stew. They're most convenient when the stew is cooked because it can be dished up quickly and easily, like this, without having time to get cold. This cookhouse even has a baker's oven, which at the moment is being used for a batch of rock cakes. The bread cutter enables enough bread for the company to be sliced up in much less time than the old hand method. The Burkle machine is designed for slicing bacon, but it will also carve meat. The joint should be boned, rolled and tied up before cooking. The Burkle will then deal with it speedily and efficiently. In order to get the maximum efficiency out of the cooks, they shouldn't come on duty any earlier than is really necessary. One man is brought in early to fire the stoves, and he will go off early to make up for it. The cook should always be divided into sections in this way. The use of hot plates is most important. Food tastes twice as good, and is twice as good, if it's served on dishes and plates which have been warmed in readiness for use. Today's bill of fare is curry and rice, mashed potatoes and a steamed pudding. Here's the washing up department. Washing up loses most of its unpleasantness when one of these fellows gets on the job. The plates are scraped at stripping tables so that they're empty before they go into the machine. Then they're stacked into containers and travel along a conveyor belt under streams of boiling softened water, mixed with soda and soap flakes. By the way, don't forget to renew the salt in the water softener regularly. Further along the machine, they're rinsed and then partially dried by hot steam before they come out here. Potato peeling is a thing of the past, too, in a modern cookhouse. This machine does everything necessary except poke out the eyes. For the sake of convenience, it's set up between two sinks so that the potatoes can be washed in one before they go into the peeler and are then ejected into the other. Inside the peeler, carborundum faces and wheels remove the fine outer skin of the potato, while jets of water pumped through the machine under pressure clean the potatoes and carry away the peelings. Here is the wheel at work. Don't leave the potatoes in this machine too long, though. If you do, a tuber like this becomes a marble, like this. If you haven't got a machine like this, use a potato parer, not a knife. Now, good cooking depends on careful weighing and measuring. The sergeant cook has even made exact measures for tea by cutting down tins to the size required, so that there can never be any complaints about the tea being too weak or too strong. Water for the tea comes from these boilers, which are so designed that they always deliver water exactly at boiling point. If the water is not boiling, the taps will not function. The human apparatus in this cookhouse is first class too. Cleanliness is their watchword, and wherever you look you will find clean cooks with clean hands in clean clothes. There's no excuse for dirty hands or fingernails or filthy overalls in any army cookhouse. No smoking is allowed in the cookhouse either, and woe betide the cook who sets foot inside the door with a cigarette in his mouth. A cigarette end in a stew is a horrible sight. You're going to leave it, eh? Oh, well, I don't blame you. The cooks have been made to realize that they are on active service too. When they arrive, they leave their steel helmets and respirators in the cookhouse lobby on hooks specially provided for the purpose, and pick up their white clothes from the other row of pegs opposite. There's every convenience for washing, and the men are kept right up to scratch all the time. Every morning when they come in, there's an inspection of clothes, hands and fingernails. Heaven help the man that comes on parade with grimy hands or dirty nails. He'll soon learn his mistake. He has... Next, please.
Well, there doesn't seem much to worry about there. What about the others?
A company's here. They've got a triplex and Sawyers. They're a pretty efficient combination, I think.
Yes, if they're properly used.
In A Company cookhouse, they are being properly used. The triplex is a two-purpose stove. You can roast in the big oven and use the side piece for boiling or frying in the same way as the top of a kitchen range. Efficient insulation is the secret of good cooking with the triplex. Tins filled with earth insulate the sides of the cooker. Under the oven are bricks and clay. The insulation under the oven is most important. Some cooks are inclined to build the fire too high, with the result that they eventually burn out the stove. When they're told about it, they usually complain that they can't get sufficient heat otherwise. Well, of course, this isn't so. The fire should never be built beyond these two front compartments, and the results will be perfectly good if the cooker has been properly insulated. The Sawyer stove was invented by a man of that name who was the Commander-in-Chief's chef during the Crimean War, and it's still one of the handiest pieces of cookhouse apparatus. 1 Sawyer to 70 men is the allowance, and this means that the average company will have 3. There is never any need to use the same Sawyer for washing up and cooking. These 3 are being used for making stew and cooking vegetables. Plenty of hot water for washing up and so on is a tremendous help in any cookhouse. So that there shall be no shortage in theirs, A Company have a hold-away boiler.
Have you had any complaints from A Company?
Very few, sir, as a matter of fact. The sergeant cook did complain at first about the triplex, but he seems quite happy now.
Have you got it properly insulated?
Yes, I told them about it, sir, and since then we haven't had any trouble.
Good.
Now, B and C Company are both across here, and rather cut off. We had a bit of difficulty, as a matter of fact, about fixing them up. B's got an Aldershot and C a petrol cooker.
Which do you find works out the best?
Well, of course, I prefer the petrol myself, but Sergeant Parsons swears by his Aldershot.
Well, of course, an Aldershot's all right, provided it's properly used. Bit primitive, you know?
Yes.
B and C companies are living under active service conditions and have a combination of Aldershots and improvised apparatus. An Aldershot oven is actually a development of the first known method of baking. It's usually about 6 feet deep, 3 feet wide, and 18 inches high. It's no fancy gadgets or taps, but the experienced cook can test it by holding his hand inside it and counting slowly. If he can keep his hand there for 4 to 5 seconds, then it's ready for roasting. If he can't bear the heat, the oven is too hot. The fire, which is built on a sheet of tin actually inside the oven, is taken out and the burning embers placed in an improvised hot plate, which the cooks have rigged up alongside the oven.